Hello everybody and welcome back to the Wheels on Wheels YouTube channel. It's been a little while since the last update, but I promise I haven't been sitting idle. As you can see, while I've been gone, I've spent countless hours fabricating, grinding and welding, mostly focused on rebuilding the rear sill and the lower section of the rear wheel arch. It's been a lot of hard work involving some pretty awkward angles and tricky shapes, but I'm finally at a stage where things are starting to come together. Thanks to this, I can finally move on to welding on the outer sill, so stay tuned to see that process in today's video. And you join me again on another new day for hopefully the final part of the welding rust saga on our £380 Ford Transit Connect camper. While I've been gone, you would have just seen that I've sorted out the rear inner sill at the back and a bit of the rear wheel arch as well. So hopefully today, all we have to do is weld up this outer sill piece, which I'm so excited for. If we can get this welded on today, then I really am on the home straight with this. So you may have just seen in the previous clips when I was welding at the rear, I actually dressed down. I was wearing a t-shirt and I'm doing the same again today because I actually found that although obviously more sparks and spatter was going on my arms, it was less painful because it was just sort of deflecting off my arms as soon as it hit it. And whereas when I was wearing long sleeves, it sort of went down my sleeves and sat there and actually burned me. So, you know, it still is painful and I'll just learn to live with it, but it's a lot less painful than what it was before, to be honest with you. And I'll also mention it is a beautiful, glorious day here in the UK, but anybody from the UK will know that it has been extremely hot recently. It's about 30 degrees today, and I just cannot bring myself to wear thick jackets and stuff like that. So out of the choice of heat stroke and burns, I think I'll take the burns for now. After filming these clips, I've since researched and found that while it may be more comfortable in the short term, not fully covering your skin is actually very unsafe, so don't do this at home. You see, both the sun and welding arcs emit ultraviolet radiation, specifically UVA, UVB and UVC. However, UVC radiation from the sun doesn't typically reach the Earth's surface because it's absorbed by the ozone layer. In contrast, welding can generate strong UVC radiation directly at the point of emission, and without any protective gear like proper clothing or a helmet, there's nothing to shield you from it. And because UVC is the most harmful form of UV, it's critical to always use proper eye and skin protection when welding. Right, let's just get started, shall we? Actually, before we get started, I just want to show you quickly what I've been up to while I've been gone. So as you can see, I've sorted this rear arch out. I just need to weld a flat piece here. This probably needs cutting away, but I'm going to wait until I've done the outer sill. All of this, you'll remember, was sort of just like missing. Now it's all one joined piece, as you can see, looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. And also all the holes here where I accidentally drilled too far for the spot welds, I have filled. So that should be ready to spot weld in the new outer sill. And I've also made some improvements to my welding screen in the form of some plywood sheets. We still have the TV behind it, of course, but yeah, that's a bit more solid than it was before. I also want to take this moment to thank you guys so much for all the support on this project so far, particularly the welding videos, for all the advice and suggestions you've been giving me. It's been really, really helpful. One of the suggestions was to get some flapper discs for the grinder, which is an excellent idea. I don't know why I didn't have these before. So I've got some now, and I'm going to use them right now to grind away the original paint on the top here, ready to weld on the new sill. Right, I'm just going to wipe it down now with some isopropyl alcohol. I just want to say that that flapper disc is incredible. That made absolutely light work of that paint, so that was a really good suggestion. Whoever suggested that, thank you very much. Cool. Okay, so I'm just going to mask up now, ready for some weld through primer by good quality masking tape. I think that's one thing I've learned from this. God. So annoying. Regarding my comment earlier about 30 degrees heat, I realise that's probably not very hot in areas of the world, but for us Brits, that's pretty hot, considering we generally don't have air conditioning in our houses, so we can't really get any respite from the heat. While 30 degrees doesn't seem very hot, perhaps to some of you, it's very hot for a Brit like me, and especially if I'm welding in a jacket, in overalls, in gloves. Yeah, it gets pretty hot, so. Right, that's masked up good enough for me. So now it's just time to prime the actual sill itself. Okay, primer on the van itself. Okay, so next we just need to measure for length. And I measure it at about 193 or a bit less, but I don't want to cut it too short, so we'll cut it at 193. You can try using the tin snips for this one. So let's offer it up. I'm happy with that, that's good enough. Now, a common problem with these panels that I have seen online, I've been watching various videos, and one video by Atypical Workshop, big shout out to them. It seems to use the same sort of outer sill profile like I'm using and have the same issue where the bottom doesn't meet at all, even slightly. It's completely bent, not at the right shape. So what I'm going to do, follow what somebody in the comments recommended, which is start welding in the middle at the top. I'm guessing you weld the top first, then the bottom. But yeah, I'll do some tack welds from the middle to the outside at the top, and then push the bottom in and then spot weld it. And hopefully the tacks at the top will hold. Let's see. By the way, I just want to highlight that this is in no way, shape or form a tutorial. This is just the trials and tribulations of me welding my own van. Just wanted to highlight that there for you, that I am not a professional. Another recommendation I'm going to follow from my comments is removing the shroud at the end of the welder, because of course, because I'm not using gas, this is not actually required. And what I'll do instead is use a bit of anti-spatter spray on the tip. That way any spatter will just wipe straight off the tip. That's my theory anyway. I'm also going to spray the van itself with this anti-spatter spray. That may have been a bit too much, but there you go. It's really good stuff. Okay, the anti-spatter spray is actually dripping, so yeah, I think I've definitely used too much, but oh well. Right, line it up. Before I line it up, I've actually got to put my welding mask on. Oh, where's the torch? There goes nothing. Oh, that is terrible. Not even going to hold. Yes, it is. I've realised I've not even checked my settings. What am I on? Yeah, that'll do. Something like that. Right. This is nerve-wracking. Maybe one here? I need to go higher on the welder. Get some penetration going. Ah, yes. And a short stick out. That worked a lot better. When I say it's looking good, it's actually not looking good, but it's looking like it's sticking at least. It's actually looking terrible. In fact, that one's not even welded. That one went a lot better. I don't know why, I don't know what I did different. I do feel like once I've got some heat into it as I'm going along, it does seem to work better. Okay, here's the sill tack welded on, as you can see. It's starting to look like a van again. Now I know what some of you are going to be saying, oh, I should have cut it and butt welded it, and I agree that would be better. However, I made a terrible mistake when I first cut the sill off, and that was I cut far too high. So at points along here, it's cut almost as high as the curve as it starts to go round into the door jamb, and that just would never work with butt weld, particularly as this is a flat piece. So in my mind, I was thinking that I was going to have to be filling so many holes and gaps with weld, that it just wasn't worth it. So I'm doing a lap weld instead, and you're going to have to like it or lump it, but feel free to abuse me in the comments, that's fine. I'm going to start now by welding from the middle outwards, as the comments have suggested, in stitch welds, maybe about that long. So one one there, and then working outwards until the top is all welded. Let's get started. Okay, this is how it's going so far, and I'm thinking that that isn't too bad. In fact, I was actually kind of getting the hang of it at points. You can see here where I've started to actually lay a nice pattern where it's got nice little overlaps as it goes along. Do you know what? I think that's really good. And whoever suggested the anti-spatter spray, thank you very much, because that is a lifesaver. I've just wiped off a load of the slag. It needs a little bit more wiping, but it works really, really well. So I'm going to spray a bit more of this on, and I'm going to put on these welding gauntlets that my mum has kindly bought for me to give them a try. Hopefully they'll protect my arm better than, well, no protection whatsoever. Let's carry on and see if we can't get this done. I guess these conduct electricity? What the hell just happened? What? Look what's just happened to my new gauntlets. Kind of exploded. I must have been touching the tip with them or something, because kind of just exploded. Wow. It's going good so far. I'm just going to wipe it down with some isopropanol, just to show you guys. No, my isopropanol. Oh. It's very expensive. I'm making use of it. Okay, so here's what it's looking like. I'm a bit upset about the burn marks on the paint. That's the actual paint that's burned. So when I paint over this, I might just paint up to here or something. I don't really mind that much, to be honest. Again, I think I'm getting the hang of it. Like here, there's quite a nice pattern going on. And it seems that a really short stick out is actually working really well for me on the settings I've got, at least. I want to say really short, not massively short, just shorter than what I have been doing, because I haven't been doing it with a really long stick out, which is something I've seen on YouTube to fill holes where there's, you know, where it's really rusty or thin. You can use a really long stick out to get more material in without it blowing through. Here's the front. Just a bit more to do here, and I think the reason there's a gap here is because I actually accidentally must have bent the actual original sill. So I'm going to hit that in with a hammer, and then I'll just weld that up and get it finished off at the top. That's better, that joins up a bit nicer now. Okay, I forgot to film this bit, apologise for that. This is the contraption I've had to come up with to try and get the bottom of the sill to line up with the inner sill. So as we can see over here, it needs to go way, way up. At the moment, this bit here, it should be vertical, is at the back, currently pointing out like that. So it needs to be pushed up like that, because the profile is basically just completely the wrong shape. So to do that, I've used this bottle jack to sort of push it up into position, and I've used a clamp, or 3, to clamp it in position. And this right here, but only right here, is in the correct position. Everything else is bending out of shape pretty much. What I really need is some more clamps, so I can just do this all the way along so it holds it into place. But let's see what I can do with what I've got. There's a bit here that kind of overlaps the original sill, which is here. So I just need to trim just a little bit off of this to get it to sit flat. Okay, that is looking a lot better. I know there is a big hole there. I'm going to have to weld some sort of additional plate over the top of that. Not really much I can do about that, but at least that bit is good, and that's going to be a nice butt weld, if nothing else. I suppose these are now ready for spot welds. Okay, so I'm just going to weld the new sill to the old sill here in this little nice butt joint there, just to hold it in position, because I've got it in a nice place at the moment. As you can see, I've got all these clamps holding it in the right place, and obviously the rest of it slowly bends out of shape as we go along. So I'm just going to weld it there to hold it in place, basically like as a tack, and then I'm going to try and go along and bend the bottom all into place, and then go along and do spot welds. Wish me luck. Okay, so I've made some marks where I want to drill holes for spot welds. So I'm just going to go ahead and drill those out now. Okay, so that's the holes drilled, ready to be spot welded. So I'm just going to spot weld them now. Oh, ah. I don't know if you just saw that, but this card that I put down caught fire very quickly. Let's put that over there. In fact, it's still smouldering. Ah, these gauntlets don't have good dexterity. Over there, there we go. Okay, do the one over here. They somewhat resemble spot welds, I think. Very messy, but it'll work. In fact, let's find out if they work by taking the clamps off. So far, so good. Yep, that ain't going nowhere, that's great. So I'm gonna leave these clamps on. It's looking good, it's certainly looking welded. So I'm happy with that. Okay, it's kind of the end of another day now. It's about 8 o'clock and I started about noonish, maybe half past 12. This may look to you like maybe 5 minutes of work, but for me, this has actually been hours. So I'm pretty happy with the progress. It's pretty damn solid. So I think it is working. I think this is going to be a success. I just need to keep going at it. So I'll be back on another day, which for you will be in like 2 seconds, and I'll finish off the spot weld at the bottom. So see you in 3, 2, 1. And welcome back. It is now a week later, and as you can see, I've made some changes. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I've been doing some research on the dangers of welding without PPE and UVC rays and everything like that. So I've decided to invest in this, which is a 100% cotton set of overalls. So what do you think? I think they are pretty hot, and not in a good way. I'm absolutely sweating, but I suppose it's preferable to permanent health conditions, isn't it? So another thing that I've invested in, thanks to your guys' comments, is this, which is a welding shroud for flux core welding, which should protect the tip at the end of my torch and help me to see my welding a bit better. So that's a really good suggestion. Thank you very much for the comments on that. Right, let's crack on, shall we? So as you can see, I've now got some clamps on the back holding the outer sill to the inner sill, same at the front, with the spot welds, of course. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do one spot weld here, and then I'm probably going to go along and do one in the middle and then just sort of join them up. I don't know if that's the correct way to do it. Let's give it a go, eh? Okay, so I'm going to do one right here, and this is actually the original jacking point. So the metal is very, very thick. So that should make for a really good spot weld, hopefully. And I've also learned that it's not actually a spot weld. This is called a plug weld. I didn't realize that. Okay, that's the hole drilled. And just weld it in. Right, this one really didn't go very well, so I'm going to do another one right next to it. What is happening? What the heck is happening? Why do you keep doing this? My welder keeps stopping feeding. I think that's my problem. Right, I put a new tip on. Hopefully that helps. That's a bit better. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to move to the middle and then spot weld the middle and then hopefully just join them all up. So this is the way I've been getting the outer sill in position, because as I mentioned, the profile is completely wrong. It doesn't meet up at all. So you've got to sort of bend it into shape, and that's what I'm doing. I'm sort of jacking it up with this bottle jack and then clamping it into place, just like this. And now I'm going to drill the holes and do more plug welds. Okay, that's one spot weld done, and now I'm just going to drill holes working from the inside out. And then, of course, spot weld them, plug weld them. Sorry, I keep saying spot weld, but I mean plug weld. This is incredibly hard hot work. As I said in a previous video, big respect to anybody who does welding for a living. This is not fun. Well, it is fun, but it's also very, very difficult. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a like down below and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to carry on drilling and plug welding, I guess. So here's the progress so far. Almost done, but unfortunately the welding wire got stuck in the old tip and I didn't have any more tips. So I've been to Halfords, got some more tips and also some more welding wire because I've almost gone through that ½ kilo of welding wire. Yeah, anyway, let's carry on. And by the way, since I've been wearing these 100% cotton overalls and these gauntlets, I haven't felt a single spark. In fact, I don't think I've got burnt at all anywhere. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for this setup I've got going on. Right, let's crack on.
Said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
Okay, and that is it, plug welded all the way along. That's one sill attached. So there's a little bit more to do. At the front, for example, we've got this sort of hole. I'm going to use this like that and obviously cut this bottom bit off here and use that to fill that gap there. And then there's some to do at the back as well. I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet, but yeah, I'm going to start with this. So that's this tacked in place. I've been having to use my normal gloves for this bit because I need the extra dexterity, so I just have to put up with the pain for a moment. Well, there isn't really any pain. These are actually quite thick gloves, to be honest. Anyway, I've tacked this in place, so now I just need to go all the way around with a nice seam, and that's that hole filled. I'll do that now. And there we have it, fully welded all the way around. So now I just need to find a little triangular piece of metal for this, and then the front, I think, is done. I'm going to just use this little bit, put it in like that, and then cut the excess off. It may not look it, but that's exactly what I was aiming for. Just grab the angle grinder. There you go, that works, see? Right, that's the front done. Onto the back. I've kind of forgotten how this is supposed to look. The other side has obviously already been welded before I bought the van, so that also doesn't quite look the same. I'm struggling to come up with what to do with this, but I'm thinking if I just bend this bit in, just so I can join that little gap there, and then just put a flat piece here, obviously leaving this square piece for where the arch liner goes into. Just weld a flat piece into there, and that should be it, I think. There we go, that gap's a lot better. Okay, that's the end joined up nicely. Now I've just got to do something about the underneath. So I've made this little piece here to start patching this up. Let's just weld it in. That is some of the worst welding I've done today, and I forgot to press record, so thankfully you didn't get to see it, but I don't know. I think it'll do for now. Okay, so I've made this little piece here. I'll weld this in, and then what I'll probably do is make a cut here and fold this up, this end piece, just to close this off here. Actually, I'm going to mark this so that I can cut this so that this is a nice butt weld. Bit of weld through primer. Another subpar looking weld, but I'm sure it's actually welded. So I'm going to do a quick cut here, flap this up, weld it there, and then make something probably flat just to fill that gap. Okay, and I'm just going to weld along the top, and that's this nearly closed off other than this little annoying gap here. Okay, there's that. Now I just need to figure out some way of filling this hole.
2 hours later.
And here we go. I think I am finally done with the welder. Now, I've just spent the last probably hour or maybe 2 doing this little jigsaw, as you can see. I haven't filmed the whole thing because it's more of just the same thing over and over and over again. As you can see here, there's lots of little tiny pieces of metal that I've welded together and bended over and welded in place and everything. I think it's looking more or less how it should. Again, I can't remember exactly how it was because it was just completely rotten. But yeah, going down, all of this sill is nice and solid and looking good at the front as well. It is once again the end of another day. I can't believe how long this takes, but I'll join you again in a second on another day when I grind away the welds and paint it. Can't wait. It is once again another new day, and today's going to be all about the finishing touches. So I'm going to start off by grinding the welds back nice and flat, and then hopefully applying some seam sealer to all the welds, and then finishing it off with some stone chip spray paint on top. And if I have to get the welder back out, I'm going to be really unhappy because I'm really glad that I'm done with the actual welding part. So I'll show you now all the welds that I need to grind back. So obviously the weld all the way along the top needs grinding flat, and around the sides, and all of this down here, this whole jigsaw, this all needs grinding nice and flat as well, and a lot of seam sealer putting on to sort of make it look smooth and hopefully it's somewhat like factory. I don't think it's going to look anything like factory, but oh well. And of course, all of these spot welds, these are going to be the hardest to grind back because some of them are really not flat. Yeah, this is going to take a lot of grinding, so I'm going to put this on a time lapse and you'll see the result shortly. So I'm going to start off by using the flapper disc along the top, and then I'm going to switch to this regular grinding disc for the uglier welds underneath. I'm going to start that now. Okay, this is how it's looking so far. Looking nice and smooth, or reasonably. You'll see here, there's a bit of rust accumulating already, and that is because it has rained halfway through doing that. See, already it's starting to rust. So that is really not good. So I'm gonna have to dry that and very quickly prime to make sure it doesn't rust away. Same at the bottom, if you have a look, all the spot welds grinded nice and flat, and even the back is looking reasonably acceptable. So I'm gonna wipe it down with some isopropyl alcohol, mask it up, and then prime it. Okay, that's it all clean. Now I'm going to mask it up and prime it before it rains again. So now I'm just going to spray on some of this zinc galvanizing spray, which I'm going to treat as like primer to help prevent it rusting, hopefully. This isn't weld through primer, this is just a zinc galvanizing spray as far as I can tell. So this is what I'm going to use. From my understanding, it's best to peel off the masking tape whilst the paint is wet, otherwise it'll peel. Obviously that's not the final finish, but that looks good. That's a nice straight line. I mean, that honestly could be the final finish. That actually looks really good. But I think I will go for black. So now I just need to wait a while for that to dry and I can begin filling and doing some seam sealer. I forgot to mention I am going to use fiberglass filler because apparently it's waterproof, which is what you want really. I know some people use body filler. I could also use body filler. I'm going to actually Google how to use fiberglass filler because it might be too difficult in terms of sanding it back down because I really don't have a lot to fill. It's actually reasonably good. So I'll come back in a bit once this is dried and we'll carry on. Actually, while we wait for the paint to dry, I'm actually going to drill some holes in the sill, which may sound crazy, but I'll show you why it's not now. You see, here is the original sill, and what an absolute mess it is, by the way. It's so brittle, it's unbelievable. But you'll see there's actually holes in the sill from factory, and it has these little bungs in it. And there's loads of them, there's loads of these little holes. Now, I'm probably not going to drill that many holes, but I am going to drill some holes. So I'm going to drill the same holes and use the same bungs from the old sill in the new sill. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that I can get some cavity wax inside to hopefully prevent it from rusting from the inside out like it has done before. So I'm just going to drill maybe 4 holes, because in the original Sill there's about 8 or 9, which I feel is a bit excessive for what I need. So I'm just going to drill maybe 4 holes, I'd say, maybe one there, 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 and over there. That should do what I need. So there's the hole drilled. Just make sure that the bung actually goes in. In reality, I should have done this before I put the Sill on, but oh well, it's too late now. There we go. That's my 4 holes. And they are also going to need a bit more of zinc galvanizing spray, because again, I've just made bare metal by drilling that. Okay, it's about time to put some of this grey stripe seam sealer on. Let's see if it's worth the £25 or whatever it was I paid for it. I'm screwing this up. Oh my god, I'm screwing this up. I've just resorted to using my finger now to get more control. Okay, well, I'll consider that seam sealed. Got a few more seams to seal over here at the back. And we've got a fair few seams to seal here. I think this is just going to get a big coat all over, to be honest. Okay, that bit actually is kind of like factory, because if you look up here, we've actually got these brush strokes and everything, and that is actually how it's applied from factory. So this tiny piece at least is like factory. The rest of it, not so much. And finally, there's a little bit to do at the front here. I'm sure this is not how seam sealing is supposed to be done, but that's how I've done it, so that's how it's staying. Okay, seam sealer is applied all round, as you can see, and now it's just time to use some fiberglass filler on the top bit of the weld that can be sanded down. So that's what I've got here, and to be honest, it doesn't really need a lot of filler, it just needs a tiny little bit all the way along just to fill the little pinholes and stuff. So I'm going to do that now, and then in half an hour or so it'll be ready to sand, and then we can apply the stone chip spray. Now I don't really know how fiberglass filler works specifically, and it doesn't help that this is all written in Polish, I think. I'm just going to do it how I would usually do body filler, which is a golf ball of filler. Just mix it up quickly. So let's do, there we are, that's probably a golf ball of filler to P of hardener. That's quite a big P, but that's also quite a big golf ball, I think. That's probably about right. That's something I learned from the fantastic Ed China on Wheeler Dealers. Although if he was watching this, I'm sure he would be cringing at probably everything I'm doing. Okay, let's put it on. Okay, that's going off already. So clearly I've used far too much hardener. That's gone solid. Damn it. So I filled all the way along here now, and I forgot to press record, but the second mix I made has gone hard again, and I've hardly used any hardener on it. So I think it just sets really quickly. So I'm going to use a little bit less of the actual filler this time, because I'm wasting quite a lot of it, and carry on. Okay, that's all filled. I'm going to wait for it to dry, then send it back. And then I think we're ready for this stone chip spray.
I then once again worked into the darkness, sanding back the fiberglass filler with 80 grit sandpaper and a 320 grit sanding block.
The next day.
As you would have seen, I worked into the night sanding down that fiberglass filler, and I've also applied a second coat and just sanded some more. It's raining a lot here at the moment, and there's quite a bit of bare metal still on the van. So as soon as the rain touches it, it's starting to rust, which is really worrying considering how much work I've just put in. So I really need to get a coat of something on it. So I've got some of this rust inhibiting primer that I'm going to put onto it. And I've got about a half an hour window before it starts raining again. So I'm going to really quickly do this now. That'll do for now, I think. So that'll have to do for now. I'm a little bit disappointed actually, because you can really see now how bad my filler job is. It's really, really poor. So I'm hoping the stone chip actually hides a lot of that, because that is really, really bad. Most of the front bit's not too terrible, but this is really poor, which is a bit of a shame. So I'll see you again in a few hours when I apply the stone chip, but for you that'll be a few seconds.
346 minutes later.
Okay, it's now time to spray the stone chip, which is the final step to this process. I'm so excited. I need to put a mask on. So excited, almost forgot. That is looking so good. So I'm going to do a few more coats at 15-minute intervals off camera, and then I'll show you the result. Okay, that is 2 full cans of the stone chip completely used up. So hopefully that's enough. I'm going to peel off the masking tape now. Let's see how it looks. So a bit of a close-up here. The front is looking really, really quite good. But yeah, as I said, the back, you can sort of see the primer just sneaking in behind there. So you can see quite a defined line, which is really annoying. From a distance, looks pretty good. So what I would do is put another bit of masking tape just above it and then go over it with a bit more of that spray, but I've run out. And I really don't want to have to buy a whole new can just to do that, because I think I'm pretty much done. Quick change of plan on that one actually. I decided I am actually going to buy some paint. I've just bought some cheap matte black paint, and I've put another masking line just above where the original paint line was, and I've sanded it. I'm just going to go over it with this just to hide that horrible primer line. I'll do a few more coats of that and then we'll see what the final result looks like. That looks so much better. Take a look at this line along the top, a lot less noticeable now, and that is looking really, really good. As you might have just seen in the time lapse, I've got the arch liner back in the wheel arch there. Really, really pleased with that. Now it's really just a case of reassembling the van and dropping it back down. Can't believe it. Right, as you can see, the van is nearly ready to lower down. I'm just going to go ahead and put some of this cavity wax in all 4 of those holes that I drilled in the sill. So this is basically just like a wax to prevent it from rusting from the inside out on a long tube. And then I'm going to put the bungs in, and then the van can be officially lowered down, after I put the wheel on, of course.
I then worked into the night once again, filling the sill with cavity wax, putting the wheel back on, and getting the van back on the ground.
It's now the next day, as you can probably tell because my hair is now shorter, and our sill has officially gone from this to this. So obviously, as you can see, I've fully reassembled everything and it is looking really, really good if I do say so myself. So I'll give you a quick close up here. Obviously it doesn't look exactly factory. Do you know what? I'm more than happy with how it's turned out. I forgot to mention that I filled this with cavity wax as well, and I put the original bungs in. So that's all looking nice and factory. And compare it, if you will, to the job that was done professionally by a garage that charged £600 to do it sometime last year. And I know this because I found the invoice in the glove box. Here's what their work looked like. Pretty good, but there's already some rust and holes showing. And over here where you can see this bump, they've clearly just lap welded the new sill on top of the original sill here. And looking underneath, there's no holes. and there's a very minimal pinch weld. It's very, very small for some reason. There's rust coming through. It's very textured. And if you compare it to mine, at the risk of sounding big-headed, I think mine honestly looks better. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Is my job better or is the professional job better? So what do you guys think then? Did I do a good job? Let me know down in the comment section below. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for all your support throughout this project. It's really meant a lot to me and it's been really, really helpful. Thank you very much. Now I'm off to go and get an MOT. Wish me luck. If you like this video, give it a like. And if you enjoy the content you're seeing, please subscribe to the channel. See you guys later.